we all want to make profit in our business. We all have a unique set of skills and gifts that we are leveraging to make that profit. And really, the benefit of hiring somebody to help you along the way is that they're further along than you are in the journey, and they're going to help pull you along.
Welcome to Purposeful Podcasting. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Krystal. This podcast is meant to share how we and other entrepreneurs bring together purpose and passion to leverage profit in our businesses.
We are shining a light on adventure-loving, purpose-driven, action-minded, authentic, and rebellious entrepreneurs.
Just like us.
So join us as we talk about business and life and everything in between.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Purposeful Podcasting. Hi, I'm Wendy, and I'm here with Krystal.
Hey!
And interestingly enough, and you can't see this, but we're actually in the same space together, which very rarely happens. So very excited to actually be doing this live off of one computer. Yay!
In person.
Yay!
Reunited, and it feels so good.
So today we are going to talk about something that actually earlier today we had a powwow, did a bit of masterminding, and this actually topic came up, and it was coaching versus courses. And I think we both have a ton to say about that, having been in the online space and the entrepreneurial industry long enough. And so I guess I will start that. Maybe I'll just tell a little bit about my journey. And back in 2016, I was looking at the online space for opportunities to do something that would give me maximum flexibility. And it was really geographic because it looked like I was going to be living outside of the continental US and in a different time zone. And I needed something to do. And the online space seemed to be a great opportunity. And with a background in event planning, I was leaning towards travel, being a travel advisor, though not your traditional one. As I'm surfing the internet, I all of a sudden, Facebook, I start getting, I'm not going to say bombarded. Yeah, I am. Getting bombarded with what I didn't realize at the time were ads, because I was so new. I didn't know what Facebook ads were. Got bombarded with all of these, here's something about this course and that course and this course and that course. And I'm going through all of these things and trying to figure out what is it I want to do. There's a course that intrigues me, very much intrigues me. And it's a little bit expensive. And I'm like, I can't believe that, not being aware of how this industry worked, how, I'm like, ooh, do I invest, whatever. And, you read enough about this and everyone pretty much is like, you have to invest in your business. My dad was an entrepreneur. So I sort of got it. Anyway, so after watching the webinar, I swear like 5 or 6 times, I bought this course and I jumped in and started to do it. And as actually one of the fast action bonuses that came with it was a session with the course creator, a coach. And so I'm doing the course and I have a ton of questions. I'm so new, I'm so green, I'm not getting it. So I ended up reaching out to and taking advantage of the fast action bonus. The course creator really walked me through parts of it, but what it became obvious very quickly is I needed more specialized questions, and the course was more generic, and I wanted it more customized for transformational travel. Actually, I ended up working with this coach in a coaching capacity, in a consulting capacity for this was 2016, so it would be the next 5 years. So interestingly, what started out as a course experience led to, a long-term coaching relationship where she was available to me to answer my questions and help me actually launch Rebel on the Go. So maybe I'll be quiet and let you jump in. And yeah.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about courses is that when you become an online business owner, an entrepreneur, Wendy and I told that story. We got started in the online space, very similar rungs in the travel industry. And when you become an online business owner, and more specifically, if you guys want to know how it works behind the scenes now, being a little bit more seasoned, and you become a business page admin, you all of a sudden get targeted with ads as a business page admin about being an online business owner. And you get bombarded with ads of different courses of all the different things you should be doing as an online business owner. You should be list building. You should be, what you need to be doing on social media. And now we still get bombarded with those ads. But then there are also courses about project management, and because I got bombarded with those for Trello, organization boards, and things like that. And then all of the things you need to do for marketing for your business. And the interesting thing about a lot of the marketing for these courses is they really kind of make you feel like you don't know anything. And this is really the saving grace for what you need to do. So like Wendy, I bought a lot of different courses when I was new on the online space, and it never really amounted to anything. I did join a mastermind to try to get some coaching and had a negative experience, which I shared in a previous podcast episode, so I won't repeat that story. But I will link into the show notes if you guys are interested to go back and hear that story. And I really didn't understand or know the value of coaching until many years later. But I can tell you, I was starting to get pretty jaded all the way around, because oftentimes I would buy a course, I'd get halfway through the course, realize I already know this shit because I had a marketing background. None of these courses were giving me anything new that I needed. What they were doing, though, was taking up a lot of time and mental bandwidth to finish the course, or a lot of mental bandwidth because I wasn't finishing the course, but I was stressing about the fact that I wasn't finishing the course. And it wasn't getting me where I needed to be. And so I ended up doing a little bit of coaching with you. Okay. And we were doing goal setting with Rebel Ready. Your Rebel Ready program. And it wasn't until then that I really understood the value of coaching or consulting, or just the value of investing to work with a human being that will guide you through this and hold your hand and pull you along. And that's when I started to think, okay, I'm no longer going to invest in courses. I'm going to invest in coaching. And we use the term coaching very loosely, and there's a big difference between coaching and consulting, and we've also gone through that in a previous podcast episode. But I think the point is that I know for myself, I need the human interaction and accountability to pull me along. And when given the option of here is a course, and I've invested thousands of dollars in courses, and my husband's going to re-listen to this podcast episode and just totally cringe and roll his eyes at that point, but it's true. I have invested thousands of dollars in courses, and I've talked him into, I've just got to buy this next thing, and it's going to be the game changer in my business. And it wasn't because of all the things I just mentioned. I need the accountability. I know for me personally, I need the accountability of a coach to walk me through it. I need a little bit of the validate. I mean, I wish I didn't, but I need the validation and the permission almost from another person to say, yeah, you're on the right track. You're doing the right thing. And I also know of me that I'm a mom and my life is insane. And then I also have clients that I service. And so when you take into account all of that, it becomes really, really hard to take the time then to add, like, watch this course on top of everything else that I'm having to do. Because running your business is hard enough when you're trying to do all of those things. And now you're trying to add education into it on top of that. And if it's not something that's really lighting my fire, like accounting or bookkeeping or other things, I have found that those are just things I need to hire out and not do courses on anymore.
That's very,
which is a completely different topic. But
so it's interesting that I think that also sometimes with courses, you come in the middle of the game, where it's like, I think the first course I took, this particular course, was on brand strategy. Yeah. So that is towards the beginning of the game. But after that, I did, course creation. And I was in no way, shape, or form in my business ready to jump in at that particular point. You need systems in place, you need certain things, you need to have a good understanding of I could go on who your audience is and really who you serve, what problems you solve, and creating a course that doesn't really, it was a bit of a shit show. It wasn't cheap. But I think back, and also when you think about a lot of courses, they're also, they need, because they're meant to scale, they're generally pretty generic. And that is why, for me, having a coach that can say, well, maybe this is not the perfect solution. Maybe we can tweak it for this, that sort of thing. And that to me has been super valuable over the past, actually, it's coming up to 8 years. Holy cannoli. With the exception of really niche courses, I don't buy them anymore. I don't. Not at all.
No, I agree. And I think, because one thing I've learned is that there is a time and place to courses, which I will circle back to. But I think that for the most part, like you said, courses are very watered down and generic, especially when they're put on by really big name gurus. I think that smaller names that can have a little bit more of a target, there might be some good to that. But I did a membership course. I did a course on business. We won't go into like the specific names on them, but you guys could probably guess which ones they were, because they were big name people. I ended up leaving the course with more questions than answers. Yeah. And in reality, what I actually needed was a coach or a consultant at the very beginning to ask me the right questions to know whether creating a course, like you said, was right for me,
exactly,
or whether creating a membership was the right call for me. Because, and I love doing this exercise with our clients now. We do take clients through an exercise because we work with a lot of coaches, and we work with a lot of new coaches that are pivoting into coaching. And they kind of walk in with the same questions we had and are bombarded with the same ads and the same strategy tactics and the same shoulding. Yes. I call it the should shaming.
You should have a course. You should have a Facebook group. You should run ads. You should have a membership. Yes. You should have all these things. Yes. And I think that I wish I had a me back then, or you back then, because I would have asked them, what's your bandwidth? What's your runway? What are your projections? We take clients through an entire exercise, because I didn't know about things like churn rates for membership, which is basically this formula that you'll put in that basically says that, you might get 10 people on average a month, but you'll also lose 5 probably because of your churn rate. Just people come and go in memberships, and the bandwidth it takes to keep up that amount of education and customer support, which some people love and they thrive on, or they have the bandwidth and the means to have teams in place to support. But to really ask me the questions of, what do you love to do? What are you comfortable doing? And based on these answers, these are actually the better container fits for you and your program and what it is that you want to do than a course or a membership or coaching, for that matter, or other thing, because there's so many different ways to package your knowledge and what it is that you know. Exactly.
But I think that oftentimes we try to fit a round peg into a square hole of an idea, because we think that we should take our knowledge of what we do and turn it into a course, or turn it into a member, or turn it into a Facebook group, or whatever it needs to be based on whatever course is being sold at the time. Because the people selling the courses, they're really good marketers, and they're really good at creating scarcity and urgency and all of those things needed to get people to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and sometimes it's disheartening at best, because when we're new at something, we're really looking to experts who have who actually give us good advice, and also have our interests at heart. And, I think that, I quickly bought a couple courses early on just because it was shiny objects and I was so unsure of my skills. And I laugh because I actually have a business degree.
I know.
And I'm like, wait a second. And it's funny though, because I think back and I remember, oh wow, I remember the classes and I remember the professors, and it's funny to me. I felt I need, and as Krystal said, I needed that confidence boost because until I really felt solid in my judgment. I've been fortunate that I have had some amazing voices in my ear that have given me incredibly good advice. I will say I've also had some really shitty, really shitty. And that's it, it's almost like it's not, I'm not going to say it's a game, but sometimes you have to try and experiment and play around with before you find good fits too.
And that's true. And we talked about that in last week's podcast episode, I think, or no, it's 2 weeks ago, but it was, not everybody's for you. There's different people that you'll vibe with and different people that you won't. Yeah. But I think you don't know until you try. And I wish that I had, because my first coaching experience was not good. I wish I had not waited as long to put myself out there again with a coach, because working with a coach can be kind of a vulnerable experience sometimes too.
I had one who sent me into therapy.
Well, yeah, same. And I think that you're very vulnerable. It's very hard. And it's also kind of nerve-wracking even to show up and ask the questions and put yourself on the spot sometimes. And it's easier to hide behind a course because nobody's really asking you, did you record, did you do what you were supposed to do? That's sometimes can be really tough, but I think it was at a detriment to myself that I hid behind that for as long as I did, because now I'm in a group coaching program, or now I work in circles or in worlds where I get there faster because I leverage the consultants in my world or the coaching in my world to get my questions asked faster, to get them the answers more tailored specifically to me, because they know me
exactly
and know what I do and know all the other things going on in my personal life and otherwise, to give better, more solid answers.
Because I think ultimately we're all in the same place. We want to achieve success, and whatever that looks like, as quickly as possible. So, and how do we go about putting adding the accelerant to the fire to get moving? And in a lot of ways, there's so many different opportunities out there. You have to do this, you have to do that. And again, it's that the word have to. It's loaded. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily serve you. And really being very discerning and intentional about who you choose to work with. And, sometimes, well, first of all, nothing is ever going to happen overnight. Well, except maybe picking a name, or I don't know. I mean, there's a couple things I think at the beginning that you can do very quickly. Yeah. And courses available, how to register your business, some of the administrative details. Totally, you could probably knock them out quickly. But a lot of things take time and take the effort to get them done. And anyone who says, oh, you could be 8 figures overnight.
After taking my course,
I just sort of tilt my head back and say, do you really want me to believe that?
Well, that they do. And I think to that end, there is a time and place for courses. One, I think that lower ticket things are a great way to test out coaches and test out their offers to see if you vibe with their teaching style and to really see if they know their stuff. I'm leery of those things that have not been updated even within the last year,
Oh,
because
yeah.
so much has changed even in the last 6 months due to the influx of AI and things like that. I think that little things like what Wendy had just said, how do I register my business? How do I do quick little things that I don't mind doing, that don't take up a lot of my time and don't take a lot of time to learn? Those are great courses to invest in if you're willing to do it. If you're willing to invest in your own learning, your own expansion of your skill set, those are great courses to invest in. Certification programs, things like that.
Yes.
Then we are all here for that, to strengthen something that is in alignment with your passion and purposes. I think that's great. I do take marketing courses to keep abreast of the changing landscape and to keep my toe in the water, to know what's changing and what's going on and what is that new thing. Because frankly, I would be a poor coach consultant if I didn't know those things. It'd be a disservice to my clients. But I'm no longer, like you said, I'm no longer going to invest in large program courses that are broad skill sets, of most of which I'm either going to hire out or not utilize in my world. At that point, if I'm really looking to get to the next level of where I'm at, most courses are aimed towards a much more beginner audience. And so I think that if your brand spanking new and you don't know things like what an IFO is, what a lead magnet is, what a KPI is, maybe a course would be good just to get you comfortable with the lingo. But I got to tell you, if you're really looking for somebody to get you to leverage those things, a coach is so much more worth your time and your investment.
Or if you're set on wanting to, courses can also, if they're done, say, in a cohort, you can build connections and interact with others that can actually be very beneficial. And then but that requires you to have like a cohort where you meet together and you go over the material. Or
that's a great point.
Yeah. And those actually, I do think, can be of great benefit. Also, if you are set on taking a course, it does make sense to either have the creator as a coach, or someone who's gone through the program, or very intimately familiar with the content to help you along. And I think that I think that when those things go in tandem, they can be very helpful. Like sometimes you find yourself, and this is also, I think, at what stage are you in your business? Are you truly a new person? Because I can say that, sometimes there are masterminds which revolve around specific course content and you're very immersed in it. But in order to actually know the right questions or know the right fit and know these things, you have to know your business itself pretty intimately well. And I tend to think that people rush into that scaling stage when they haven't really gotten their foundational pieces set. And that, I think, is so, and even rushing into courses, it's like, I'm going to pick what kind of accounting system I need. Do you know what you're actually offering? It's like, why are you picking something when, are people going to pay you monthly? Are they paying you once a year? Are they paying you ad hoc? I mean, there's all sorts of different questions that come into play, and they're not necessarily always difficult questions, but they're ones that need to be answered. And joining a course, a program, something that is a little farther up the road can be really a massive pain in your butt.
Yeah, well, because what I was thinking about when you were saying that was, you don't know, how do you know how to get to the answer if you don't know the questions to ask?
That's right.
And I love about, when you're doing a course, you don't have the opportunity to ask those questions.
Yep.
And what I love about a coach, and I think about a recent coaching call we had, where we asked the coach a question and they were like, that's the wrong question. Really, you should be asking, how many of you, and I'll just put it out there, it was like, how much would you suggest we spend on ads to run this program? And she was like, well, actually, I think you need to try XYZ first. I think, how many organically can we get on the sales page by doing this? How many things can we do that? Like, don't skip, we were really wanting to go from like A to Q because we are great ideators and we are really excited about it. And really that coach did a great job of saying in that moment, but have you done B, C, or D?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm really thankful because it saved us a lot of time and money and frustration and heartache.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when you jump from A to L and you forget those in-between steps, you get discouraged easily when L doesn't work, when it fails at that point, and you think that, and you go back and you start tweaking the wrong thing.
Yeah. And the other thing that I want to mention is no matter what stage you are in your business, you're always learning.
Yes.
And anyone who tells you, well, I don't need a coach, you don't actually want them as a coach, because that means they're not learning, they're not evolving, they're not honing their craft. We have a couple coaches who absolutely, and they serve different purposes. And I'm also very hesitant about anyone who's one size fits all. I can help you with everything. I mean, we've talked to people where we're like, I just don't think this is a good fit. You're trying to build something that is not necessarily in line with, our purpose and values, etc. So I think it's a combination of things. But it was really interesting today that getting together with biz buddies and kind of shooting the shit. And it comes back to, what do we need? What do we all need? What are we all looking for? I think sometimes the foundational things are pretty common across the board.
Well, and they're common pitfalls across the board, too.
Yes.
I think that was the one thing that came up in the conversation.
Potholes.
That there are potholes that we hit that exist for all of us, that we all have stumbling blocks when we're trying to build our business. All of us want the same thing. We want to make money. Like very few of us got in to be online business owners to lose money all the time.
Oh, gosh. No.
And so we all want to make profit in our business. We all have a unique set of skills and gifts that we are leveraging to make that profit. And really, the benefit of hiring somebody to help you along the way is that they're further along than you are in the journey, and they're going to help pull you along, and that's the big thing, is that
learn to live from their mistakes
from their mistakes, because truly nobody further along from you wants to see you fail. Like, I really do believe that people that are further along than us want to pull people up with them.
Right.
And having that accountability and that cheerleading, just somebody to cut through all the noise and tell you, that's a demon, baby. Don't do that. Nope, don't do it. You're overthinking it. Which I feel like I often sometimes need. That's great. Not now. Setting realistic timelines and realistic budgets and things like that to give you that insight is so tremendously valuable, because I think we all also get stuck where we can't see the forest through the trees sometimes.
It's interesting that there seems to be, like, I guess, stepping stones. You enter into the online space, you have a problem that you'd like to solve, and you can solve that problem and you want to monetize it. So you do a course, or before you do the course, maybe you get into coaching. And it's really also, I like to ask prospective, if I'm working with a coach, why'd you do this? Why? And I'm a little gun shy when I hear things like, well, I have this great strategy and I think everyone should use my strategy. And I've heard this from a lot of coaches, when ultimately that's actually not coaching. That doesn't necessarily get into your headspace, which coaching ultimately does. And that's not really the accountability and the motivation and things of that nature. Now, that's not to say that people don't have amazing strategies, and that's what it is. It's a strategy. It's not really the foundational work of your business. It's okay. I think I can use this to implement, how do I solve this problem? Okay, strategy is a way to implement it. So I think that there's different ways of looking at all of this. And I really love to ask the question, why do you do this? Why do you do this? And I can answer that question and say, I have as a core value a love of learning. And also I, as a foundational purpose, the desire to teach people. And for me, it's not necessarily it's not a strategy. I hang my hat on goal success through positive psychology. That's what I hang my hat on. And, that may work for some people. And you know what? That may not work for others. And that's perfectly great and fine. And it's always good to find out what works early on. And what doesn't work early on. Yeah, what motivates and makes person A happy may not work for person C. So anyway, that would be my 2-cent suggestion, or maybe it's a quarter these days. My 25-cent suggestion is really just ask the question. And if anyone also doesn't take the time or want to answer, do you really want to work with that person?
I mean, we want to work with purpose-driven individuals, both as clients and as coaches. I like to think that purpose is not hedonistic solely in nature. I want a coach that wants to make money because I like to think they'll help me make money too. But at the same time, if that's the sole reason that they're doing this, we're probably not going to be super in alignment with values. And that's okay too, because there's somebody for everybody. I like that a lot. Yeah. Okay. We're actually able to stare at each other. I know.
Which is wow, this is really cool.
Very cool.
And soon enough, we have to decide where we want to go for dinner.
Yeah. It's all about the food. People want to know why I do this.
Yeah.
It's why do you run? I run to eat. I work to buy fun food.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about purposeful podcasting on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.